Very long moment passes. Polly, you're standing there, and the shattered remains of Dialov's face are splattered against your shoes. The back of her skull has been exploded outward. Her colorful hair is drenched in blood, and her body still twitches. The figure that has stepped out from the darkness here in this long concrete corridor within the Pine Haven shopping center, your home for now over a year, is a nightmare. His face, ruined. A terror that you couldn't imagine. His stringy hair is swooped back, and he has heavy burns on the left side of his face. You can see that the ear on that side is completely gone. He has burns across his arms. His mouth is crooked, and he talks out of the left corner as if part of his jaw is paralyzed. You can see his teeth from a wickedly, horribly, badly healed gash on the side of his face. A hole that never closes. You can see that jaw move as he looks at you with very hard eyes. He has no eyelids on his right eye, you see now. The red of his socket is weeping constantly, and a wetness covers his ruined cheek. It's a jigsaw of a face, ragged scars that are badly stitched together. He's missing fingers, bandaged heavily. He's wearing black tactical gear and a heavy-looking pack. He has a tool belt full of gears and radios and other tools, and a long, large, bone-handled knife. The heavily modded assault rifle is rested on his shoulder. Damn it. Declan had high hopes about this one. She was smart. A quick learner. But according to my people, she just murdered him.
What the fuck do you want?
He looks at you. I guess that goes to show you some strays never lose their wild streak. Your Polly Pocket. Right?
I'm not anything to you.
You know, Declan had his eye on you too. Thought you might be smarter than the rest. Able to see past Faith and Achira's perfect little encampment. Able to see what's really happening here in the pen. He sort of shuffles the rifle on his shoulder. Was he wrong?
All I see right now is a dead body in front of me.
Is that your first? Can't be.
No. Did he try to kill her?
Did he try to kill her? I told him to kill her 2 weeks ago. He walks nonchalantly towards you, and up against the door that leads into the break room where those crates were stacked, the ones that Dial-Up was so concerned about. She thought that there was a bomb, a pressure-plated explosive attached to them. This man nonchalantly kicks the bottom crate.
Polly jumps back and puts a hand on her revolver.
looks you directly in the eyes, doesn't move any further as all of the crates fall over right next to Dial-Up's body. I want to show you something.
I don't want to see anything that you have to show me.
I want to show you the truth, and then I'm going to let you make a choice. Does that sound good?
Looks down to the rifle. You gonna shoot me if I say no?
Probably, but I'm not going to lie to you about it.
Fine.
You're looking at me like I'm a monster. I'm not the monster here.
She didn't do anything wrong.
Right. She didn't do anything wrong. This Jigsaw Man opens the door. Immediately, bursting from within, is a mangy-looking mutt of medium size. Has a scruff of hair that runs down the middle of its back. It stands up on end and it gives the brown and gray dog the illusion of having a mohawk. This dog has a collar that's made from broken bits of old tech and leather. There are a series of pouches that are outfitted in sort of a saddlebag style across the side of the dog. Inside, you can see, like, tucking from inside of them, tools and other assorted supplies. The dog, formerly Dial-Up's, goes by the name Spike, you remember hearing. Spike whines and cries, nuzzling Dial-Up's dead body. The large brown eyes of the mutt meet yours. Spike gently bites the sleeve of Dial-Up's jacket and tugs, trying to wake her up. A moment later, as you and this figure stand there, the dog gives up and just licks her hand and then curls up into a ball next to her and whines.
But you did that.
Looks like you got yourself a dog. Let's hope you aren't as quick to throw your life away as your former friend.
Stares down at Dial-Up's body. Does not seem to be too shaken off by the gore. It's rather the death that stops Polly up. But after a moment, keeping her eyes on this figure, slowly inches forward towards the dog.
The dog moves towards you.
It's okay. Reaches out a hand.
Spike sniffs your hand and then very tentatively licks it. You feel the warm sandpaper tongue. Spike stands up, circles, Dial-Up, and even though you don't know what this dog understands or doesn't understand, seems to, in its own way, say goodbye. Inside the break room, you can see ruined and upturned tables, rusted out chairs, and cracked old tile floors. There's a broken TV that's hanging off of the wall to the right, and a refrigerator without a door. Graffiti is covering every inch of this place. Impressively, even on what remains of the drop ceiling. Colorful lettering, shapes, characters, This room is full of boxes and crates of salvage, things that Dial-Up had pulled in from the wilderness and was hoarding in here. There was definitely a lot gathered that the rest of your community didn't know about. This is a secret hidey hole, clearly.
What is all this?
Dial-Up had a few secrets. I don't blame her exactly. I mean, being resourceful. That's what we liked about her. She was careful and knew how to navigate the wilderness and find things. I don't think the fact that she kept a percentage of her finds is necessarily a crime. Not these days. As one of the benefits of the survivor drop that the Pine Haven settlement received last session by J Pistol, I'm going to give you immediately 100 survivor points that you can use to bid out equipment here if and when you manage to sort through it. Others will be able to take part in that as well, assuming that they can find their way back to this room. Kusanagi looks at you. And then he pushes over a fridge, revealing a rough hole cut in the cinder block wall behind it. Are you coming?
Don't have much choice.
Inside the rough passage, there are beams of lumber, sheets of tin. This hole is a concrete passage, and there's an old rusted roofing ladder that leads down into the darkness. Spike is following you, looking back every once in a while. What do you do?
I think Polly follows. There are opportunities where she could probably try to get the best of him or use this new ally to her advantage, but I think despite all of her words, something that he said has struck a chord. She doesn't try to fight him.
Go down first. He points to the ladder.
You think I'm gonna shoot you?
Go down first.
She goes.
You take Spike with you. It's a little awkward, but you wrap your arm around the mangy dog, and it smells like wet moss outside. Filthy dog smell, but not entirely unpleasant. You climb all the way down, and Spike hits the ground. You're in the remains of a sewer tunnel. You see this figure, the Jigsaw figure, climbing down after you. Do you do anything?
Can I don't want to fight him right now. Is there any possibility that I can use his guard being down, being focused on this, to kind of observe him a little more closely and try to determine some weak points if I should need them?
Roll detect motives.
How many competency points do we have today, by the way?
Well, you start this session with 3 as always.
Okay.
And we have currently in the pool 2 competency points for all of you to draw from.
Okay. My detect motives is a 33. I got a 43, so I'm going to spend 2 of my own competency points to bring that to 1 success.
With 1 success, you're able to study this figure. And as you do so, you notice that he's careful. He's in a lot of pain. Every movement, he's hiding it well, but there's something behind that ruined face that speaks of the internal torture that every step causes him. You don't know what he has been through, but you can only imagine that he's still carrying it with him. You're in this ruined old sewer tunnel. The figure starts to turn. My name is Kusanagi. Have you heard of me?
Have I?
Yes. I would say in the year that you've spent within this community, you've heard the name before. Not much, just that he was another survivor that helped the group often. Very good with technology, able to fix radios and get vehicles running. But that's about all.
Yeah.
Do they talk about me?
However much as you talk about anyone who's not here except for a few exceptions.
I've been watching. You know, as the 2 of you start walking down this tunnel, there's ankle-deep, murky water that sort of splashes around you. You're underneath the shopping center now. You didn't know that these tunnels were accessible. You don't know that anybody else knows either. And so as the 2 of you are walking, he looks back and you see him strike up this homemade flashlight, and it's casting light across the darkness. Faith may have defected from the Citadel, but she's towing their line. Pinehaven's become little more than an outlying settlement for Papa Riggs.
You know the Citadel?
I know the Citadel.
They didn't mention you looked like that.
I didn't. Not until Riggs got a hold of me and wanted to find out about this place.
He found out about this place through you.
Everybody found out about this place from me. I spent years of my life following Blockbuster, trying to find out where he had hidden this place away, why he'd been so careful. You've heard the stories, haven't you?
They're not true.
There's a nuclear shelter beneath the Pinehaven Shopping Center. Everyone's heard it now. Haven't you?
Faith says that they're just rumors of someone who wanted to act more knowledgeable than they were.
Sure. Sure. As you're walking, Romero lunges out of the darkness at you. Make a dodge roll.
That's a 3. Oh my god.
You, almost as if you had sensed it before you saw it, there's a movement of water behind you, and you know Kusanagi's to your right. You immediately move, and this thing lunges forward and past you. But then you hear metal, and there's a clanging, and the Romero stops and is reaching at you, but can't get to you, as it becomes apparent that this Romero has been chained to the wall.
No. Despite herself, Polly is talking to Kusanagi like he's not an enemy. No one even knew about this place. How would... That doesn't...
Just follow me. Walk carefully. They won't reach you if you follow the pattern.
Where are you taking me?
You'll see. And then you'll know. And then we'll find out if you're going to live or die.
I think I probably have a better chance than you.
I haven't died yet.
Yeah, well, neither have I.
The rooftop of the Pinehaven Shopping Center is shattered. It's a massive rebarb and old, broken concrete that has formed a network of bridges that stretch across the entire scope of this very large shopping center. The complex is massive. Half of Pinehaven has collapsed and is open to the outside. It's been shuttered away, walled off by your settlement, Achira. You do the best that you can to call the dead in the area, to prevent them from overwhelming the place. But it's not easy work. You don't have the numbers to really handle this place, but you've managed to consolidate, and the choices that you and the other leaders have made have allowed these people to survive here. There was no promised land, no Ciabola, no hidden treasure room, no nuclear shelter, no self-sustaining generators, none of that. Just a broken, ruined mall. But the walls are good, and you're secluded. And with the exception of occasional visits of the Citadel, you're isolated enough to be able to avoid much of the political turmoil that's embroiled the rest of the Penn region. There are small metal utility shacks that dot the wide expanse of this complex across the top of this roof. There are toppled down power lines, and you can see the southern gate off in the distance. It's broken off, and then there's massive amounts of rubble. You see the wide sky stretching before you in Faith. The stars are light in that dark blanket above you, and Faith moves carefully with quiet military precision next to you. Her sidearm is drawn, and she ducks behind a ruined air conditioning unit. She motions for you to move up. What do you do?
Achira is going to stealth forward. And particularly, she is, in her mind, she's thinking about where they got this information, that they're looking for this tower that, as far as she knows, the traitor Declan told Dial-Up, who then told her, and that now they're on the search for that. So she's going to be stealthing forward, but she's also going to be looking around. If there's a tower of some type up here, there's no way it's not guarded.
I'm not going to make you make a stealth roll. This is your element. You're moving through the shadows. There's no need for you to physically roll for that. I'm going to give it to you. However, I do want you to make a spot listen check. And I'd like for you to add 1 black die of difficulty due to the darkness. Whenever you add a difficulty die to a roll, you add that to the percentile roll. It helps to increase the total, making it harder to succeed. How did you do?
I rolled a 2.
So you got a 5.
So I got a 5.
Very, very well done.
Thank you, Jake.
You scan across this rooftop, and it is massive, as I said, but your eyes immediately drop to what you're looking for. You're certain. It's fairly well disguised. There's an old radio tower, and it's attached to the far side of the east wing. It seems to be heavily concealed at the base, and you see large panels of corrugated steel that have been wrapped around it, and from here you think there might be razor wire as well. Do you wish to approach it?
Definitely. And also Achira's going to start a list in her head of who exactly would be up here and has access to this and would have any interest in building something like this. It's a pretty short list.
Well, a lot of the wild children that you've gathered could climb up here without much difficulty, but why would they? There are some rain-catching barrels on the far side, closer to where you and the rest of the community are, but you're far away from that. Dial-up had led you into some of the further corridors within the shopping plaza. You were pretty deep. You were close to the southern gate. This is sort of lost territory. So you do start to tally those individuals up. Faith looks at you. What do you see?
Is she asking me, or what do I see for Faith?
She's asking you, what do you see?
I explained the structure to her, and then also, we would have never thought to look up here, and that has me worried. Faith, any time before this year, we would have known about this. Nobody would have been able to build this here without us knowing. We might have gotten soft, Faith. Too many worrying about politics and training foundlings. We've left ourselves wide open. I just hope that everybody doesn't have to pay for that.
I don't think you should beat yourself up. We've done good things here. We've done a lot. In fact, more than anyone else could. I'm proud of us, and I think you should be too.
We need to find out what this thing is, who it's been broadcasting to, and what it has been broadcasting.
You're right. I'll cover you if you want to get closer. I don't see anyone else up here, but if what Dial-Up was saying is true, if we have traitors amongst our people, we have a lot of house cleaning to do. You know, this is a fucked up situation. It's always going to happen. I've been through this more than once. You've been through this more than once.
It's amazing how, no matter the situation, people can always disappoint you.
Yeah. But let's be disappointed later. Right now, let's kick their fucking ass.
Let's do this.
You start moving towards the tower. Below, inside the shopping center, there's a hum of panic. There were raiders that have recently broken through the defenses of your community. Gunfire rang out, automated weapons fired. There are at least 10 dead. You know that because you see them walking, risen, shambling through the hallways, smearing their entrails and blood behind them. The bastards that entered this place, these marauders, these intruders, they didn't shoot to disable them. They didn't aim for the head, they aimed for the legs, for the guts, for the chest. They've filled your home with Romeros. Camila, describe yourself and where you're at.
I'm a early 30s woman, Latina, olive skin, brown eyes, very long hair at this point from postpartum syndromes. Kind of just dressed in athletic gear, tactile vest, and a very large machete on her left arm. But at this point, I believe is probably covered up in a kind of haphazard cozy over it because she doesn't want to scare too many people, including her child. She probably would have found some sort of cork to put on the edge of it so she doesn't try to cut anybody with it. But for right now, it's covered up as best as possible.
You've got a leather sheath that you can kind of put
Perfect.
over your arm.
A
and it
leather
protects
cozy
everyone.
going
It's got
over
cork
it.
in the tip of the
Awesome.
sheath.
She's sort of sitting in a department store. She kind of found a rickety old rocking chair. She has her baby in one arm, and it's just kind of just rocking back and forth, kind of assessing what's going on in the situation. You can kind of see a barricade in front of her just in case anything were to happen. She can move fast and put her baby back in the backpack cage situation and be ready for anything. But right now she's just kind of rocking there with her baby.
Your baby son is silent, cooing softly asleep in the midst of all of this. He had woken up briefly, but you had begun to hum to him, and he settled back down, even with the gunfire and the screams in the distance. From your barricade, you see members of the community. Some of them have formed a living wall. They have guns. There are 2 other children that are in separate barricades off to the side, members of this community as well. Young children that, while they've been trained to fight, aren't quite ready to deal with this. You see the dead shuffle off in the distance and survivors running forward, stabbing into their skulls with knives and bladed weapons and sharpened poles that they've constructed. And they're fighting them back, but there are a lot of them, and some of them you don't recognize. Some of them are filthy. They've not recently risen. In fact, they have the strange sort of boiled-looking skin and flesh of the older ones. You see one and it turns. Its lower jaw is exposed and you see jagged, broken teeth, but the skin is almost translucent and taut against the skeleton, completely nude, but yet androgynous, as if all visage of humanity had worn away in the elements, and there's very little hair, and it's covered in filth and muck, and these milky blue-white eyes turn and lunge towards a survivor who pushes forward and stabs them right under the base of their skull, dropping them down. Your son continues to coo.
I'm just gonna sit there, and the danger isn't that high yet for her to actually put the baby away, so she's gonna sit and watch everybody until she thinks it's time. She does, however, have her gun set up to have a good shot. It's loaded and everything, so she's a swift, quick lay down and take the shot if she needs to.
There's smoke. They've closed a series of metal doors now to kind of prevent that from entering into the area that you're in. So you kind of lose your vantage point.
Oh, fun.
Because you saw that billowing through. The power cut off a while ago. There was an explosion when this all started. And everybody's using either torchlight, candles, or whatever battery-operated flashlights they may have built or gathered. Those are rare, though. As everything's closing, you see the concerned face of a man that you know. He's Asian. He's in his early 40s. He has kind of peppered white and black hair. His head is shaved on the sides. He has a huge scar across his neck that leads all the way up to his right eye. And he's got this heavy trench coat on with like a carpenter's bag to one side. You know that he's very handy. He usually builds and repairs a lot of the stuff through here. His name is Carol. And Carol looks at you Hey, are you going to be all right for now, or should I get somebody in here?
That depends. How dire is this situation right now? Do you think?
It's shit hits the fan sort of bad. We're working it out. Faith and Achira are on I guess an away mission. I don't know. Others are arguing, I guess, in the middle of all of this. Arlo is pissed off, and we're not just fighting the dead here.
Do you need my help?
No. You know what? We're all right. I got out of. I'll be back. You hang tight, and why don't you keep an eye on the other two little ones, and then if anything gets through, do your thing.
That's always been the plan.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Just whistle if you need anything.
I suck at whistling, and the door kind of like slams as Caro kind of pushes out.
On that note, I'm actually going to start prepping my baby by putting little earmuffs that she's found, and start prepping him to go into the backpack because she's not going to be caught
like unaware.
Yeah.
Or like having to pack away your child before that all goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is your baby's name again?
Rhodes.
Rhodes is acclimated to this. At first it was very difficult, but you've trained your son well. In fact, like nursing him on a shooting range, allowing him to hear the pops and the cracks of the rifles, and letting him relate that to something primal. Motherhood, the need, the closeness to you, it calms him. It's the only way that you've been able to prevent him from crying in the worst times, when noise could kill you both. Mm-hmm. But thanks to Achira and Faith, who've been very supportive, and some of the others within the community, you've been well protected. And you sit there and rock in your chair, and you hear someone shout. It's a lie. Declan didn't do it. He's always been loyal to all of you. Fuck you if you can't see it. They're the ones bringing the dead in. You're out there. Describe yourself to us once more.
DT is a WoW child that was just brought in to the Pine Haven when she was trying to look for some more supplies for her and her sister, Sugar. DT is about 16 years old, about 5'1", is pretty short, so she's pretty fast. She has long black hair with strands of color in it. She usually has like a really cool jacket on, but she recently lost it when trying to fight off someone, a Romero actually. And her sister Sugar is also a Romero, but she's a little bit different.
She is. And she's standing behind you right now. She's dressed in that old, kind of rotten, colorful dress. It's not quite pink any longer. It's not purple, it's not green, it's got a murky, sort of muted tone to it, desaturated, but you've tried your best and you found other scraps of fabric and tied them to your sister, Sugar, and she's become sort of a rag doll, covered in all these scraps of different colored fabric, almost cheerful. Her lower jaw is completely gone. There's scraps of flesh that hang down from it, and her wide eyes look about curiously, and with a life that few have seen in the dead.
Yes, Sugar, what is it?
Sugar turns, looks down a corridor, and raises her hand. And begins walking. What do you do?
I'm going to grab her and push her behind me.
She doesn't fight you. There are other people. They're fighting the dead. You're watching them drop them. Some of them just rose not long ago. They were people that lived here within this walled nightmare. Some of them have wandered in from outside. Older dead, the kind that you're more familiar with. And you're watching as they kill them. You see a young wildling that you saw before with Achira come up to you. He's got wild, light hazel eyes, like really unnerving. The sort of hazel that seems almost unnatural. They're beautiful, but also very just unnerving. And super dark skin and hair that has been pulled back tightly. When you talked to him, he was very pointed. You knew that he was like you, but he wasn't like you. And you look at him now and you see that he's not uncomfortable within the walls like you are. You didn't cause this, did you?
No. Why would I cause this? I just wanted stuff for me and my sister. Now we can't even get that.
All right. You can get stuff still, but you gotta help. You can't, and don't bring your sister around the others. They aren't going to like that.
What am I supposed to do? If someone finds her, they're gonna kill her.
They will, maybe, but if you're careful, maybe they won't.
Will you help me? Keep her safe? I don't have any friends here. I don't even know if I can trust Achira.
Another figure sort of swings down off of a rope from the second story. You can see that there's a lot of debris being moved above you at the remains of the Radio Shack. That entire section of the shopping center exploded outward when Dial-Up threw a bomb at Declan. People, survivors now, are digging, trying to find the body. Or him, if he's still alive, which seems like a growing impossibility. If they haven't found him by now, there's very little chance that he could survive. But they're still digging, and people are fighting against the dead, and your sister continues to kind of push against you a little, like down this long corridor, headed towards the southern gate. The person who swings down is wild looking, red curly hair, unruly, very, very much a feral, but very brightly clothed, not like you or your sister. These clothes are maybe not newer, but they've definitely got more color to them. Maybe they've been dyed recently. She has a shaved head and a lot of tattoos, and she's wearing a ruined tutu and rainbow suspenders. Why should we trust you? Why would we help you?
There's really no reason why you should trust me. But you were me once, weren't you? And I know it's better out there. Obviously, it's not any different in here. I just want what I want and I want to leave.
What if you don't leave?
don't know if I can trust you guys. My sister's the most important thing to me.
We were like you once. Then Achira helped us. Found a place like this. I know walls now. And we're safe. It's good here. Everything is sly. We're cozy. It's crisp. But you can't bring dead. Why don't you let her go?
Let her go? What has this place done to you? You don't understand she's different. See, no one understands. They don't understand. That's why we can't stay here. Sugar obviously sees something down there.
And as you're standing there, Sugar does continue to groan more. In the distance that she's pointing towards, you see a mass of the Romeros, a swarm, start to pour down the hallway. I'm going to spend 100 risk. Wall to wall, they push their way down the corridors. You see the larger man known as Arlo, surrounded by other survivors, and they all stop arguing. They were arguing back and forth, mostly about Declan from what you heard. But they stop, and they all look, and they start to take defensive positions. Their differences forgotten for this moment. There's a bang on the door, and the metal slides to the side, and you see Bebe, one of the ferals, the wild children, wearing a big wolf fur coat with a taxidermy wolf head on one side and a set of football shoulder pads. She has these big, gaudy grandma sunglasses, but the lenses have been poked out, and she sticks her head in. They told me to come get you.
Time?
Yeah, I guess.
How long do I have?
Bebe sticks their head back out into the hallway. I don't understand time really. Not much now.
Are
I
they
guess.
outside the door, or do I have a few?
They're like not here right now, but they will be.
As she's speaking, she's putting the baby in the bag, like
Yeah,
putting
you're
everything
putting
on,
everything
gearing up.
And so you start to gear up, and when you step out, finally, Bebe's there and is covering you.
Do I have the kids with me? The other
The
two?
two kids are with you. Yeah.
Because I have an idea that I feel like I would have trained these children, since I have a hard time loading. These children's job with me is to help me load the gun.
Yeah. There's a boy and a girl, and they both work very quickly to support you and make sure all the straps and the buckles and everything are closed. And then they both take out knives, and they're maybe one of them is 8, one of them is maybe 11, maybe. But they stand close to you as the 4 of you emerge into Pine Haven, and you see all the fighting and the internal squabbling is done.
Mm-hmm.
And that worries you more than anything else, because past them, you see the dead. What do you want to do?
I'm going to line up a shot. What undead do I see first?
There are still 1 or 2 that are to the side here. You can see here where the mass of the group are, all right, if you look at the overhead. And you are the purple dot there. As well, this right here is DT, and that red marker there is one of the Romeros, but it's Sugar. So,
Do I have a clear sight to that?
you step out and you scope it, and immediately you feel a hand on your gun, and it's Bebe. That's Achira's new foundling, and the dead come with her.
You've got to be fucking kidding me here.
I don't kid. I don't make rules. You do. Your face. And Bebe runs away.
This is ridiculous. Like, literally, like, she's looking up being like, I swear to God, Achira, where the fuck are you right now? Is there Romero right next to it?
Past it. Yeah, there are two that the survivors are fighting against. One of them is coming towards Caro, actually, who's pushing forward and fighting as well, but Caro doesn't seem to see the one that's kind of tracking towards
What's the cleaner shot? I'm going to be honest with you.
The cleaner shot's the one that is not currently engaged with Caro, and the one that is not near this new foundling.
I'm going to go for the one going near Caro.
Yeah. But you're not done.
Mm-mm.
I understand. I can tell by your tone of voice. I'll let you sort that out with the rest of the table later. So I'd like for you to roll your long gun. And you do have a scope, which is going to increase your accuracy. We're going to keep it simple. You're using a scope. I'm going to give you 1 degree of success just to start with. Since you are taking a single shot. That's a 10. You didn't even need the scope, but with the scope, you have managed to get quite a few degrees of success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get 5?
I don't know. Give me a
So
second here.
you have a 10, and then your skill with the long gun is...
It's pretty up there. The total, right? 59?
Yeah. So you have 5 degrees of success, which means that the head explodes outward, and the Romero drops to the ground very much dead. And you clear it out, and Caro turns and whips his head over and sees you standing there. You've still got your leather sheath on your sword arm, and you've got the gun leaning on it, and you had made a very, very clean shot. And the 2 kids behind you are standing there just kind of ready and protecting your back. You're sort of a moving unit of your own. However, when the shot fires, you hear it, and you turn over and you see this woman standing there with a gun drawn, and you see Bebe pushing towards and doing this. Get down! It's a rockadoodle, get down!
I'm gonna hurry up and just grab her and put her to the ground with me. We're just gonna go to the ground.
You kind of pull your sister down. You no longer have a clear shot on that other Romero, as it seems like these wild children are protecting that Romero. Up on the roof, Achira, you're approaching this radio tower, and as you get closer, you hear a mechanical clicking and a whirling noise. What would you like to do?
Since Achira is part of the old world and has existed so long in the new world, would you be able to logically make a guess on what this could be?
I'll allow you to make a new spot listen. You don't have clear sight on anything, so you're just kind of listening to the noise and seeing if you can relate it to anything. But I'll let you make that roll and see how you do.
I rolled a 16.
Okay.
So my spot listen is 49.
Currently in the
Take me to 5.
communal pool, we have 8 competency points for all of you to draw from. And there has been a supply drop to the shepherds.
Oh, we see you out there.
We see you.
We see you out there.
Resources are going to move to those who follow a new faith within this apocalyptic world. So, I'm sorry, what was your total?
I rolled a 16. My spot listen is a 49, but my recon gear is 3, so that would have...
You've far exceeded what you needed. You only needed 1 degree of success. I'm going to let you take 15 survivor points for the rest of those successes, or I will allow you to forego the next roll entirely.
I'll do the foregoing, the roll,
All right.
and a hand grenade.
You do recognize it. The clicking is a tape deck.
It's playing something. It's broadcasting something. I mean, when you listen to enough Walkman as a kid, you understand this.
It's hard to hear. There are pigeons up here that are cooped up in an open shack off to your left, and you hear them, cooing softly and rustling. But the old radio tower hangs above you. It's covered in this rusted steel and this razor wire. And you hear some form of electronics inside, and you kind of see through some of the cracks and the holes in the metal. It looks like there are a series of large plastic tubs, and they're all the way around this tower. And there's a milky looking water in there, and you see metal wires coming out and into the tower itself. And you do see, like as you're moving through, you see a tape deck that is wired to the tower, and you see it rotating right now. And the output jack looks like it's actually tethered into the tower. So you're right, it does look like it's broadcasting something.
Why does this feel like a bomb? Achira says out loud to Faith.
Faith has slowly started to approach and still has her weapon drawn and is covering both of you, keeping a sharp eye to the far corners. Yeah, well, they wouldn't have just left this here unprotected if it was that important to them. So that's what I'm more concerned about right now, Achira. I think someone has to be watching us. Either that, or maybe things went bad for them. We've seen our shares of explosions today. I think we don't need to see another one. I don't think I can defuse whatever they're doing in there. This is an abandoned part of the mall. I say we count our losses and pull back. What do you want to do?
I want to know what they're broadcasting.
I mean, do you think that you can get through there without disturbing anything to get to that tape deck?
Possibly, but I've always been better at getting information from people instead of electronic devices. If we pull back, I want to blow this thing sky high. If they rigged it as a bomb, then we'll rig it to blow. I'll pull back, but we're shooting this.
All right. I trust your instinct on this. Let's see what happens. Faith starts pulling across the rooftop. Do you want to do the honors, or do you want me to?
Since Achira has the machine gun, she's going to pull all the way back. I really wish whatever Declan had been a part of, he'd... to hell with it. And she shoots the tower.
The bullet leaves the chamber. It pierces past the metal and into the center of whatever those tubs are. Nothing happens.
I shoot it again.
Nothing happens. Well, I didn't expect that shit. Faith fires on it 3 more times just to be sure. Yeah, not a bomb.
Well, in that case... You remember a show... Oh, no, you wouldn't remember this. You were a baby. There was a show called America's Funniest Home Videos. And one of the things, a lot of it was people getting, men getting kicked in their junk. But a portion of it was when really stupid people would go back to check a thing when the thing didn't go off, like firecrackers or something or other. Let's hope this isn't like that show.
Faith fires 2 more times. It's not going to blow up.
Achira's going to go back and check to see if she can see what was being broadcast.
I think your grandma video story isn't going to help us here.
Oh. You know, you really don't understand how much all of y'all missed. With if only the apocalypse could have happened a decade later, you could have really experienced what the 90s was all about.
Sure. Yeah, I'm real broken up about it. Let's take a look here. And Faith starts like moving across it and kind of tests some of the panels. Oh, I get it. I think I've seen these. Well, not like this exactly, but I've seen these at the Citadel. They're batteries.
Oh, it's the power. It's the power to the tower.
Well, I mean, it was. This one's leaking pretty badly. We've shot the living hell out of it. If you're going to do something, you better do it now before this thing just stops. Unless that's what you want.
Achira's going to check to see what has been being broadcast. If there's a thing in there that's worrying them, more than likely there is a way to up the volume on it, because we're talking 90s devices. Mm-hmm. You just up that volume and you can hear what's being...
The output jack, as if it were for a headset, is plugged in, and it is wedged into the central canister of this radio tower. So you can reach in and turn up the volume, or you can unplug the output jack from in there. Either way, you can't just hear it you don't think you can hear it from just turning it up, if that makes sense.
Got it. Then unplug the output jack.
I'll let you make a spot listen check.
I forgoed my next roll.
That's right. Okay, so you're not going to have to hear this, or you don't have to roll for this, but you hear like a shuffle inside the tube.
How big is this tube? Is it person-sized, or is this like snakes?
You don't know if it's snakes, but it's certainly not person-sized.
This is the tube that the thing is in, that I'd have to reach into? It's
wedged into. You could try to pull it out. If you just wanted to grab onto the tape deck and yank it out, you could do that.
Just yank the tape deck. This is getting weird.
Okay. You grab onto the tape deck and you pull it, and you feel resistance. Do you keep pulling?
Yes.
All right. As you pull the tape deck out, you see the output cord unravels, and a series of metal wires have been welded onto this chassis of this tape deck, right? The back of it has been completely opened up, and immediately you start hearing what the tape was playing. Queen Knight, B2. Bishop moves to A1. Queen takes knight on B2. Black bishop moves to A1. You recognize the voice. It's Declan. But that's not the problem. You pull, and the wires stretch out, become taut, and then the tower blows. I'd like for you to make a dodge roll. This is to mitigate the situation. Full prevention is probably beyond us at this point.
Good thing all those metal shielding is like in front of us in the thing.
Nothing like a face full of shrapnel to ruin your day.
Yeah. Okay. My dodge is 50. I rolled a 63, so that's 1 degree of failure. 13.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously, well, is this a location hazard?
It is a location hazard.
Finally made it.
I know. It only took me exploding a bomb right near myself for it to be. Okay, so I am going to. So that's 1 degree of failure. 1 makes it a wash. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll use 6 of my competency points
Okay.
to make it 5 degrees of success.
Right, and so that's going to be
Oh, ouch, though.
an enormous success in rolling with the explosion.
Yeah.
Not dodging the bomb, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And you were right, the metal sheathing was there. Most likely it was what was protecting against the bullets and all that with the layers of metal, but now it's collapsed the entire tower and turned it into shrapnel. You are going to have reduced damage, not removed damage. So I'm going to roll a number of dice here.
I'm wearing really good armor.
That's an exploding die.
This character's good at 3 things.
You take a 3, a 5, and a 4 on your damage track, and it could have been a lot worse. So does that break through your threshold?
No, actually.
It doesn't break through your damage threshold, meaning that your armor and everything else that you have is going to absorb the majority of it. You are being battered and bruised, and you're being flung away
I got 1 left.
from this. However, the hand that was holding that tape deck is mangled. You feel a searing pain. You haven't looked at it yet. You smell burnt flesh, and you drop to the ground and roll. Was it your right hand or your left hand? I will accept whatever you say.
It was the left hand.
All right. You don't know where Faith is. Your ears are ringing. You can't hear anything for the moment, and you are just looking at fire in front of you. And while you're lying there in pain, in the back of your head, you hear, Queen takes White Knight on B2. Black Bishop moves to A1. Polly, you're moving through the sewer passage. Kusanagi is leading you now. Are you carrying Spike, or are you letting Spike fend for himself?
How deep is the water here?
Ankle deep to you, up to this medium-sized dog's belly.
Polly's pretty strong. I think she'd be carrying him. Especially with the Romeros on either side.
As you carry the dog, you carefully follow Kusanagi, and one after another, the dead lunge towards you. They reach forward, grasping at you, missing time and time again. All of them chained to the wall. It doesn't seem like any of them are just free. And Kusanagi leads you out through a storm drain. This enormous tunnel, maybe 20, 30 feet above you. It steps down, and the passage gets tighter and tighter until the two of you come to a rusted old grate that empties out into a pond. The water here is frozen. It's blisteringly cold out. There's fresh snow on the ground, and you feel the cut of the wind as it starts to push against you. It is December.
And she doesn't have a coat.
You don't have a coat. You're in the frozen forest about half a mile outside of Pine Haven, and the two of you walk about another hour. I'd like for you to make an endurance check.
Okay.
The only saving grace here is the warmth of Spike as the dog presses against you, and the two of you together share your body heat as you move through the blistering cold.
It's real sweet. Less sweet. 69. I'm an adult. So that is woof. That's 6 degrees of failure for me.
That's a catastrophic failure.
Yeah. I am going to use... We have 8 in the communal competency?
There are currently 8 within the communal competency.
I'm going to use 5 of those, and then 2 of my own. And that'll take it to, let's see, if I had 6 degrees, that'll take it to 1 degree.
You can
of
only
success.
have 5. There's only
There's
only 5.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Then
So
4 from the communal.
you can't have 6 degrees of failure or success. 5
That's so
is the
kind.
maximum. However, you do need to spend a number of those points. So what does that bring us down to? You spend 5.
I'm going to spend 4 of the communal if I only have 5 degrees of failure.
All right.
Yeah. So we have 4 left, 2 left of my own.
Okay. There are 4 points remaining then. I have also gained a number of risk multipliers. And because of where you're at, let's see here.
This is
This
No.
immediately
It does not.
goes up by 50.
Who did that? Why?
Set forward.
Was the bomb
Okay.
not enough for you?
It's horribly cold and your teeth are chattering, but you and Spike manage to push through. Your fingers, you have gloves on, but you can feel them underneath. They're on the verge of frostbite. Kusanagi doesn't seem to notice, and he's wearing this trench coat and this camo gear, and he's just walking like it doesn't matter.
At that point, I think Polly would stop and say, I can't.
You have to keep going. You can do this. You can make it. If you don't, you'll die here.
The fuck? It keeps walking.
You've been out before in this winter.
It's like it doesn't even matter to you.
It does matter to me. It all matters. This, and he points back to kind of the small firelight. It looks like most of the fires have been put out at Pine Haven, but he points back and you see the fires are still glowing a little bit in the distance, so you know that it's there. It's this dark kind of shadow, right? But none of the electrical lights are up yet.
Yeah.
They built this entire community on years of my scouting and cracking codes from that insane bastard. He was certifiable. A full-fledged basket case, you know? But like most schizophrenic people, he was brilliant too. I've got agents scattered to the 4 winds, trying to gather up what he left behind. He wasn't lying. There's something here. But no bunker. Stories were all wrong, right? You, Achira, Faith, all the people that you've gathered there, you gave up. Good. I just need them to give up a little more. He keeps kind of like trudging through the snow, and he's kind of swatting at the air.
Yeah.
And you realize that Blockbuster may not be the only person who's unhinged, or was unhinged, as Blockbuster is now, from all the stories that you know, very dead.
Yeah.
Make a sense motive.
Yeah. Sure. Oh, God. That is an 85.
Do you want to just have this be a horrible
I'm just
failure?
gonna let that ride, yeah. I'm freezing.
You're freezing and you're scared, and this Jigsaw Man has managed to intimidate you.
Yeah.
I think you're just sort of going along with it now, and I think that you lose some morale.
Okay.
And I feel like if you continue to lose that morale further in this journey, it's going to be detrimental to you. You're going to make some bad choices,
Yeah.
right? So
Going to.
the three of you keep pushing through, and eventually, thankfully, you see a broken old gas station with a garage in front of you. Everything's covered in snow. You can't even tell where the shattered road might have been or where the trees are. Everything's overgrown. The branches are empty. The entire thing is covered in graffiti in the same style as the break room. Exactly the same sort of graffiti. You know this has to be dial-ups.
At seeing anything that could be shelter, I know that I'm following Kusanagi at this point, but I think I break off and just head towards it as quickly as I can.
It turns out Kusanagi's headed in that direction too. In the front of this garage and gas station, that there are sculptures that are made out of junk, like strange art pieces, a hand reaching up, and what looks like angels that are turned upside down falling from the sky. The overhang of the gas station collapsed probably decades ago, but the small garage and the convenience store seem to be just fine. They're boarded up. Kusanagi takes his homemade flashlight and points it at the garage door. I've already removed all the traps. Open the door. I want to show you what's in there.
Okay. Okay. And steps forward and no regard at this point. Yeah, opens the door.
The door creaks open. It's stuck for a moment, but then you push through. And even though it's still cold in here, it's at least 20 degrees warmer. And despite the terror and the fear of the situation, you're just glad to not be outside any longer. This is another safe house of dial-up. It's a wild spray of colorful art everywhere, rusted junk and machines that are stacked into piles. There are workbenches here, covered with tools and machinery that's been taken apart. One of the workbenches, it looks like it's got all the material needed to make bombs.
Mm-hmm.
There's wire and glass and containers filled with what looks like homemade diesel fuel. There's crude oil, there's gunpowder, raw sulfur, saltpeter, and what looks like a series of metal casts that pour something that looks like it's roughly brick-like in shape. And there are paper-wrapped bundles that are stacked in straw off to one side. However, there are also 3 bays in this garage. They're the type that are used to lift cars up and then allow mechanics to get underneath. The recessed pits where they would change oil and access the undercarriage of the vehicle easily, right?
Polly takes a look around and, still holding on pretty tightly to Spike, says to Kusanagi, "Are you here to show me the truth or just to show me the home of the person you killed?"
Kusanagi stands at the door, the snow kind of blowing behind him, and he's silhouetted with this flashlight that he kind of shines right in your face. And then he closes the door, and you're blinded for a moment. And when your eyes sort of clear, you don't see him.
Oh God, hand on gun immediately. I mean, as much as she can. Fingers are very stiff at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, you are going to be drawing that gun at higher difficulty, to be certain. But you do reach down, and then you hear, at the bottom of the bay, closest to you, scraping metal.
Can I see what's going on there, or do I need to come closer?
Do you have any sort of light? Because you're effectively standing in the darkened room. The moonlight and the reflection of the snow is all that you've got to go by. So everything is heavily shadowed and silhouetted.
Yeah, I don't have any flashlight or anything like that.
The pit just looks dark. And then there's a strange electrical hum as lights click on and you hear a generator from the back of the room. And all of these old holiday bulbs light up, and it's a spray of rainbow color. And inside the pit, lights illuminate what's inside as well. You see 3 Romeros that have been cut up and mangled. There are metal plates that have been bolted into the fronts of their skulls, and their jaws are all that you can see of the fleshy part of their face, biting and groaning as they jerk against their restraints. They're strapped to the walls. Their guts have been hollowed out, and there's a mass of welded metal in their rib cage. There's wires jutting out, dried leather skin all around them. You can see inside these jars of liquid slosh about.
Polly was trying to get closer to get a closer look, but the minute she sees that, starts back and just goes, "What the fuck?"
You move back. You bump up against the wall. Tools hit the ground with a loud clatter. Spike jumps down out of your arms, starts growling, hackles raised, looking down at the pits in front of you. More clattering comes from the pits.
What are those things? What? Who did this?
You hear his voice, but you don't see him. When Declan told me the dial-up was wrangling Romeros and keeping them, I thought that maybe she was just being industrious and using them the way that we do. Traps and security systems. I had Declan encourage dial-up's creativity. She had a penchant for explosives, and the result was effective. Impressive, even. I guess if it had ended there, it wouldn't have been an issue. But when I learned about her pets, she was naming, talking to them, I told Declan to cut ties. He didn't want to do that.
She did this.
Look closer.
Not a lot makes Polly want to throw up. This is close, but she edges closer.
You feel your stomach roiling as you look down the other bay. There are 10 or so Romeros that are caged up. They're wearing collars that match Spike's. They're completely stripped nude, and they've been painted in bright colors. They reach absent-mindedly towards you, reaching out from the pit. And then Spike moves back and knocks over one of those old plastic containers. The kind that are used to hold massive amounts of sports drink, but it's so old and dingy that the orange has turned into a pale brown. It rolls over in front of you, and 3 living Romero severed heads roll out. What do you do?
Are they... You know what? No, I'm not even going to ask. I think Polly just immediately grabs... It's not even a thought. Grabs the L from her back and slams it down on the heads. Just too freaked out.
You immediately kill one of the heads. Its eyes roll back and its mouth stops teething at you. Fully, completely useless. The other head turns and starts to growl. Kusanagi steps out.
Why are you showing me this? She's dead. Why does it matter?
It does matter. Achira, you've got to know what happened with Lampwick.
What? I know what happened with Lampwick.
Is he dead?
He's gone.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
I do. And what about Faith? With Riggs? You know, I intercepted some radio transmissions. They're gonna allow volunteers to go to the Citadel and serve. Volunteers are going to get to join the Reclamation Front under Riggs' command. The man who did this to my face!
We're a community.
You're a joke. But you don't have to be. I'm gonna tell you now what I came here to tell you. And then you're gonna make a decision. He pulls a pistol out and points it at your head.
Say it. I'm not scared of you.
Shelter is real. I know how to find it. But I need people in that community. I thought Declan could do it. But I'm running out of options.
So you want me to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. Cami, you and your small unit, what were the name of the 2 children behind you?
Robinson and Penny.
They're 8 and 11-ish. No one knows really how old they are. They are orphans, but they have been adopted by this group. They are under your care, but they're also protecting you. They have weapons drawn and are keeping their eyes on everything around you, shielding your back and your child, correct?
Correct.
You have your rifle drawn, and you still have your sword arm sheathed, correct?
Correct.
All right. You're moving through. A lot of the other survivors here look to you you as you start to approach. They're positioning themselves and firing down this long hallway. And you can see from the broken, ruined remains of what was once the tiled floor of this shopping center. Now it's broken concrete with plants that have kind of broken through and are dead. Above you, there are tarps that are hanging over these shattered skylights, and snow sort of wafts in. This is a little bit of an open air community. You do have places and homes that have been built into all the storefronts, but that's where you would actually get in. This is more of like a main street now, and your main street is overrun by the dead. What would you like to do?
Well, at first glance, knowing that I'm out of ammo, I'm going to hand over my my rifle to Robinson, and in sort of a code language, I'm going to say, green eggs and ham, Cam I am. And that's basically kind of a signal of like, I need you to switch out the ammo because I'm looking for green eggs and ham.
Okay, so you're switching stuff out, and the boy takes the rifle. He's the bigger of the two, and he reaches into your pouches as if he's done this a dozen times, and pulls out a magazine and replaces it, and you hear the click of the rifle as it's reloaded. What do you do while he's doing that?
So I'm unsheathing my arm and I'm handing that to Penny.
Okay, Penny takes it, and then you feel a slot on the armored papoose that you carry your child in. You feel that leather sheath kind of fall into its slot.
And then the last thing is to grab the rifle back now that it's fully loaded, and her last words are basically going to say, "Go dog go," and that's kind of the signal for the kids to kind of like duck down and get ready to get moving again.
Yeah, they duck down, and Robinson takes a pistol out and starts to kind of fire alongside you. It's a revolver, a snub-nosed revolver. He's a pretty good shot. Penny, however, just keeps this knife in her hand and is keeping a sharp eye to your back, making sure that no one is creeping up on you or that none of the dead sort of roam past this area, defending you and the rest of your group. You're on the ground, DT, and your sister is wiggling.
I'm gonna try to calm Sugar down as much as I can because I know it's already a big risk if she's trying to like wiggle and get up. And then the other kids are around on the ground with me, right?
They're close by. They've actually formed a little protective wall, and they have weapons drawn, like handmade daggers and swords, and they have archery equipment, bows, and they start to knock arrows and prepare as all the dead start moving through. The other survivors are firing what little ammunition they have. You don't know very much about all of that, but you had heard Achira say something about there not being a whole lot of ammo. So their guns are firing, but they seem to be pretty careful about it, as everyone seems to be bracing for this wall of the dead to come through. And your sister is going to require you to make a calm other check.
Okay. It's not a great roll. It's a 90, which I'm guessing is higher than whatever my calm other. Yeah, my calm other's a 28.
So yeah, that's 5 degrees of failure. I would say you could use some competency to lessen that failure, or you could allow your sister to be very agitated. You have 7 competency points in the communal pool, should you choose to use those as well.
Okay, and then I have 3 of my own at the moment. I don't have enough to make it. I don't want to take too much from the communal right now, just for that. I'll just use 2 of my own competency points at the moment,
right.
just because I feel like I can calm the group down if she's being loud.
Luckily for you, even though this is 5 degrees of failure, I'm gonna say your sister does break loose in this, like is jostling and really agitated and breaks away. And you've got like a handful of fabric that kind of rips away as your sister sort of tossles you down onto the ground. And you roll off, and thankfully, it's so loud with the gunshots that you don't think anyone's hearing your sister fight with you. And there are no other dead over here. In fact, this one, you see this man in front of you, older man, one of the echoes, kills that Romero, and it's just clear towards the front. Everybody has formed kind of a protective wall, as they all seem to be coming from one direction. And you hear one of the survivors shout out, "You're there as well, Cami. Someone has to have broken down our barricades."
Who would that be?
But there were plenty of people shooting automatic rifles at us just a few hours ago. This whole thing is a setup. Someone really wants us dead. And the woman who's talking right now is super red-faced and angry, just kind of frothing at the mouth. And her name is Wendy. She's an older woman. She has tight white hair that's been pulled back. She has keen eyes. She's curvy, but she's like well muscled, and she has like this handmade spear with a military bayonet on the end of it. She's weathered and she's pretty dirty because she does a lot of foraging out in the forests. But she's got a strong voice and people listen. A lot of the leaders of this group are now dead. So Cami, when you hear this, you also kind of like glance over and you see this new kid on the ground and this Romero stand up and kind of protectively guard her. It doesn't look like she's in danger of being bit. The bottom jaw is gone. But you've seen this sort of thing before. What do you do?
Oh, I'm gonna aim.
All right. You aim your rifle at the Romero. You're on the floor. And you see people firing out, shouting, kind of talking back and forth. And then you see this woman, and she has her rifle drawn on Sugar. What do you do?
Can I call out to her?
Absolutely.
All right. I want to see her, and then I just want to try to hurry up and stand up as best as I can. I just want to yell and wave no matter how much attention it makes and tell her, like, stop! You can't do this! You can't do this!
What makes you think I can't do this?
She's different. She's not like the others.
Different. I've heard that story before.
I don't know you, and I don't know what you've seen before, but this is not it.
No? Do you see this arm?
You've been in these walls. You don't know what it's like out there now.
Oh, I don't know what it's like out there? Have you been pregnant out there? Have you had Romero's try to take your child and take your arm at the same time?
I've had them try to take my sister. I wouldn't bring a child into this world.
Your sister's dead.
But she's not like the others. She's still here.
Like that?
She can talk.
Is
She
that
can
your
talk to
sister
you.
right there?
Yes. She just looks different. You don't understand.
This is ridiculous. You should not be running around with Romero's.
You can't kill her. Achira said they would protect her. We said we would help you. It's okay, Sugar. You're gonna make her upset. Please don't make her upset.
And what is she gonna do if she's upset?
She reaches down and pulls a colorful scrap of fabric and rips it off and reaches it out towards you.
Is this some fucking sick joke? What is this?
She's just trying to be nice. I don't understand why you don't like her. She's just being
She's
nice.
a fucking Romero! What part of that don't you understand that has killed a bunch of us?
I'm with Cami on this. We can't have one of them around here.
It's been fine. This is why I didn't want to come in here. All right, Achira said we can come in, help, and we can leave. That's all we want.
There's a gunshot from the crowd. And you see Faith dragging Achira back into the community. You've been passing in and out of consciousness. You don't remember how long it took to get down here. Your head is starting to clear. You hear shouts. You hear the groaning of the dead, and your hand hurts. Faith has wrapped it in bandage, but you're not sure if you're ready to look at it yet.
What the hell is going on here? You see all of these Romeros in front of us, right? Why are you shouting at each other?
Because this child's protecting Romero.
That was our choice. We let them in, Faith says. There's something different, like Lampwick.
A decision was made. Sugar is not to be hurt by us. Point your gun towards the Romeros that are actually coming towards us and the ones that aren't trying to hurt you with colored fabric.
Look, Cami, we'll talk about this later. You're not in danger. I won't let this thing anywhere near you. Please, we've got to take care of business here. The whole place is a mess. I need you.
You're fucking lucky. And turn and hit the another target.
You turn and fire, and another Romero drops in the crowd. I want each of you to tell me your intent as this swarm pushes through the hallways of your home, breaking in past the shattered escalator that Dial-Up destroyed not very long ago. These Romeros are partially frozen. You can see there's ice clinging to them, and they're moving sort of in a jerky, broken way. Black bile is frozen across their faces as it drips down in almost like icicles of gore as they lumber towards all of you. Cami, what is your intent?
My intent is to hold back as much as possible. I'm usually kind of one of the furthest shots, but I'm going to hold my shot until I can get a clear range on any of the Romeros coming towards us.
It's almost like a wall. They've massed together so much. If we can go to the overhead here, I'm going to show you exactly how bad it's gotten.
Well, that's
Okay.
just
This
okay.
is the corridor, and it's completely overrun. And they've pushed in, and as far as anyone can tell, they stretch all the way back. Whoever did this with all of the music that was being blared through those speakers that were on the backs of not only the dead, but some of the intruders, they must have been doing this for days, gathering together a massive amount of the dead and funneling them through the southern gate while they distracted you at the northern gate. Faith seems to realize all of this, and you see disappointment and maybe anger in her eyes, but she's resolute, and she starts moving through and ordering each and every one of the survivors to fall into line and to fire into the dead.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, I fucking know it's not
We're going to have
work.
to fall back, and we're going to have to find a better strategy. We can go into
They're in a corridor. All we have to do is get the ones in front. They'll start, it'll be like a stop gate for the ones in the back.
Okay, how do you want
There's literally a legend about this. A man holding a pass because only so many can get through. If we let them out through this corridor, then we will be overrun. We have to stop them here. Get something to... I find it hard to believe that the people in this community wouldn't have had some sort of security measures for ingresses into this. Like, for instance, for this, like with this corridor, like barbed wire at knee height, which would then trip over Romeros, which could also like stop the flow of them. And when they're like tripped like that, then can have people in the front going for hacking for heads.
Okay, so it's a good idea to create a tripwire. I will say that all of those barricades are further out. You do have them, the community does have them. You are well protected, typically. Further back, closer towards the southern gate, it seems as if those barricades have either failed or been removed. What I will say is that if the group collectively would like to give me 100 survival points, I will give you all of the material that you need to set that up right now.
I'll give it.
Yeah.
I don't have that many, but
Work it out amongst yourselves. I trust you. You can do so after the end of the session. But 100 survival points have been spent. And with those 100 survival points, I'm going to say, Achira, that you have had some of your troops working recently to reinforce those areas. And that material is still here because that work hadn't been completed. So you've got razor wire, you've got some sharpened spikes and things and like metal poles that you were going to have installed to sort of create cross-hatching that wouldn't allow the dead past should something happen and there be a breach. Is there anything else that you want?
If we have any other stores of flammable materials, would want to have it where, have that as a possibility too.
Another kid rolls out from one of the buildings off to the side, one of the storefronts, and this is Chance. He's an angry kid that used to be a part of the caravan. If you remember the caravan, they were a group of traveling survivors that never stationed themselves in any one community or place. They moved around. They were great with horses and had vehicles, and they were actually kind of trucker stock. Like they were able to communicate. They were good allies to the Ender's line. Most of them have been off radio and completely silent for a while, but Chance is one of the survivors of the battle that occurred outside of Three Rivers. He was left behind in a raid where marauders took his legs and ate them. And so he's got purple hair, he's in his early 20s, he's got a lot of piercings and tattoos, like a lot of someone within this community is doing a lot of really bad tattoo work. He wears a hood almost all the time and a gas mask with a skull painted on it, but his legs have been amputated at the knees, and he gets around really well, actually. He has a chair, but he doesn't use it all the time. He has homemade metal prosthetic legs, but doesn't use them all the time. He's actually at his best when he's just kind of running around on his hands. And he pushes himself around, and he comes out with 2 of the last containers of biodiesel that the community has.
And metal shielding.
I have a question. Is it possible that we could have taken off, the gates that you close like malls? Where it's like if we would have been able to take that off and actually be able to set that up in front of the Romero so that if they try to push through, kind of the idea
And we
that
can
you're
still go for
giving.
the heads.
Yep.
If we have people holding that, on the sides, like some tanks, holding that on the sides, then we can go for heads.
All right. DT, what are you doing while this group of survivors sort of comes together and starts enacting this plan?
I want to take Sugar and I want to try to put her in a safe place because I also would like to help them because right now they're not on my side. So I would like to offer my help if we could.
Okay. How are you going to do that?
I just want to maybe walk up to Achira and just ask, look, is there any way I can help? They're not really on my side right now. I don't know what to do. They all want to kill Sugar. Just tell me what I can do.
We could definitely use the help right now, and it would help a lot. Actions speak louder than words, most definitely. So I could use you here. And earlier what is your character use for like fighting?
It's a pickaxe that's like fashioned into a scythe.
Okay. Is the other side like sharpened for like?
For stabbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Like chip down.
Okay. Achira would look at your weapon like with her right hand, be like, hold it the other way, and be like, they need to see you killing other Romeros. They need to see that Sugar is different for you, but these are the same as it is for us. Show them that.
We can do that. Sugar can help too.
Okay. keep Sugar away from anybody that's not me, Faith, Bebe, or TV.
Will do. I don't think we can trust many other people. You have to get that hand fixed soon.
I'll look at it in a second.
Taking like the Achira's advice, we want to try to move up and try to fight them, I guess.
All right. I'd like for you, would you call that a piercing, or do you want to do a slashing?
Let's go slash.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're going to slash. Go ahead and make that roll for me.
Okay.
While you're doing that, Achira, I'd love for you to make a roll for me as well. It's called Resist Pain.
Can I, since DT said something, how about I take a step back and try to first aid my hand?
You can do that, yes.
Okay.
But I need you to make the Resist Pain first.
Good try.
Yeah, you remember how I said like this character was good at 3 things? She does not have a high pain threshold.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you had to make sacrifices somewhere.
Yep.
Yikes. Okay. Her resist pain is a 26, and I got a 47. So
right.
that's 2 degrees of failure there.
So
Do I have anything to mitigate that? Not
2
for
degrees
that.
of failure. You do have communal competency points. There are 11 in the pool currently.
Okay. So there's a corridor filled with, we're obviously in a different place than I was before. Corridor filled with Romeros. We've been betrayed. You know,
It's
we're
not
trying
a location hazard, my friend. You left the location hazard. If you want to go back onto the roof,
Amazing.
you can find it there.
Yeah.
It was the start of a really good monologue. Though.
I'm sorry to have cut you short. I was tempted to let you just go. So as you move forward, DT, Bebe, Blossom, and TV join you.
Okay.
And the 3 other ferals kind of come in close with you and watch you. They sort of are, you can tell that they're testing you. And this isn't new to you. This happens in the wild all the time with these kids that are living out, with their wits and their survival skills. They want to see what you can do. So they're clearly here to help, but they're also here to let you fail, if that's what happens. And they are, you see TV pushes this guy named Skeet, who's like staring at your sister and like hand on gun. And TV just kind of shoves him out of the way. Don't even think about it.
Thank you.
We listen to Achira, but you're welcome.
I'll do my best here.
All right? How'd you do on your roll?
I got 20 and my slash is 60.
So you have 4 degrees of success. That's just a critical hit as you lunge forward, and Romero just hits the ground as their skull is punctured by your attack. Is there anything else that you'd like to do?
No, I think I just want to keep fighting through.
Yeah, so you keep fighting. And I think we'll leave you there with the and as the wildlings kind of see you going, they start to kind of jump in. And the 4 or 5 of you with your sister, Sugar, begin fighting forward. And Sugar grabs onto some of the dead and starts to pull them, because the dead don't pay attention to your sister. So she starts walking forward and grabs onto some Romeros and throws them back as they stumble with their heads exposed right in front of you, TV, Bebe, and Blossom. As you start just poking through the backs of their skulls, they start hitting into this large pile. And everybody kind of witnesses this, all right? You're firing. Mm-hmm. Would you like to make another long rifle?
Sure.
Or long gun shot? Is there anything that you want to alter with this? You've got your scope, you're taking your time, you've got Robinson and Penny right next to you supporting you.
No, I think that's enough right there.
Rhodes is asleep behind you.
Just want to make sure my child's safe.
Yeah, you feel him from time to time, because you can feel his warmth in his body against you at all times. It's against your back, and you feel him kind of move, and you know, there's a little bit of discomfort at one point where it seems like maybe he might wake up, but he stays. As you continue to fire, you shoulder that rifle, and you go to work.
49. Help me out to get a long shot.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Exactly 1 degree.
yeah, 1 degree of failure, right? No,
Success.
success. The other way around.
1 degree of
My bad.
success is enough. If you don't want to do anything about it, you can just let it go, and you're going to hit one of the dead. If you want to spend some competency, you can make this a lot more catastrophic for this wall of Romero's coming towards
How
you.
many do I need to spend to make it catastrophic?
Well, you have 1 degree of success. If you make that 5 degrees of success, I'll let you take down a number of these dead in a row.
Sure.
All right, so you're going to spend 4 competency?
Yep.
How many do you have remaining?
2.
So you spend 4 competency points, you take your moment, you breathe, all the training from the Citadel that you remember. You know, you grew up there, and for everything that was wrong with that place, they know how to train soldiers. And you focus, and you pull the trigger, and with a perfect shot, you barrel through 4 of the dead in a row, just hit the ground. One after another like dominoes. Caro looks at you. Damn!
You know, they know how to train us well.
I'm terrified. And just impressed, I guess.
Thanks. And she lines up, she says her, you know, where are my green eggs and ham? Kind of doing the whole situation
The
again.
kids, like the cracked little unit, are moving around.
How am I close enough to the Romeros?
No, you're pretty far
Far
away
away,
because
okay.
I see where you are here.
Yeah.
You're probably towards the back of that group.
Yeah.
If anyone wishes to move themselves on the map, you're welcome to do so. The dead are pushing through the single corridor, and I think Achira's plan is going off. Like, people are moving forward and starting to move these things to try to create some sort of trip hazard so that they can start to bottleneck even faster. But to be honest, Sugar's already doing half the work there.
How close am I to Achira?
You can get to Achira.
I'm gonna pull my gun out because it's looking like everything's kind of falling anyways into Achira's plan, and I'm gonna go try to help Achira.
All right. Achira, you're trying to do a first aid, but did you end up spending competency on your resist pain?
Yes, to make it 2 degrees of success, I use 1 of my own and then 3.
All right.
I believe it'll be 3 of the community ones to make that 2 degrees of success.
All right, so that brings down the communal pool
Yes.
quite a bit. It's down to 8 now.
I think this is going to be a really good first aid roll.
How'd you do?
I rolled a 6. My first aid kits, I have a 2 in, which would take 4 away from that. So I've rolled a 2. My first aid is a 43. So that's 4 degrees of success.
It's enough to do a lot of good work here. You pull the bandages off, and there's a sticky redness underneath. And you have burnt flesh, and you're missing your pinky.
I hate that a lot.
You're able to pull yourself together and to clean the wound and hold it together. The pain is starting to become a dull throb in your hand, but you think you can move everything that's still there. You've got full function in all of your hand, and you don't think that when this heals it's going to be pretty, but it's certainly going to be better than it could have been. And you think about how close you were to losing your life up there on the roof. If that bomb had done what it was meant to do, and if you hadn't sensed it at the last moment and rolled as hard as you could, you'd be dead. Faith pulled you down here. But the two of you now know the truth of what's happening here. And as you're healing up, you see Cami coming towards you.
Hey. You okay?
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't need you to talk about it, but what I do need you to do is to fall back because you're injured.
I can still fight.
So-
You of all people
Yeah.
shouldn't
of all people.
shouldn't try to talk me out of fighting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let me talk you out of fighting.
Yeah, I didn't, but you also didn't talk me out of getting my arm ripped off either, right? So as somebody who's lost one, I'd fall back for right now. Just real quick indication, Cami flips her hair and there's a small sticker that's from Candy Max, like a VHS, like old style sticker just sitting on her vest. I'm telling you, you should probably fall back for right now.
It's not fair for you to use that.
For right now, just command us. You don't need to fight.
For right now.
For right now,
If things turn differently.
then you step in, but we need you alive rather than you wincing around here trying to make a shot or something. These kids look up to you.
I'll fall back for now. I'll check our rear.
Go to my nursery if you need to.
I'm not falling back that far.
Okay. I'm right here though.
Don't use her pen in that way. I really appreciate if you didn't.
The sticker?
Did I ever tell you about Aria?
Who's that?
Candy Max.
I loved her movies growing up.
I loved her too.
We have a lot to talk about. But here, and she rips it off and puts it on her. It's just those paper stickers.
It's really old. It's weathered. It's really faded, but sticks it onto your vest.
In a way, Achira looks more hurt than she was physically while she's looking at that sticker, does a nod and turns away to fall back to more of a command position in the back.
And I'm gonna actually kind of flank is not the right word, but I'm gonna kind of like turn my back and like kind of lunge down so that I'm in front of Achira to kind of be a block, but make sure that she has like good sight of everything, but I'm protecting Achira until she needs it. Or doesn't need it.
Penny, the child to the left of Cami now, is kind of face to face with you. And she sort of like weakly smiles at you. I hope you feel better.
Thank you, Penny. I'm sure I will. Just like with everything else, it just takes time.
There's more gunshots and you hear the dead. And this is actually fairly well in hand. So, while you're still fighting, the bottleneck strategy has worked. And you've managed to kind of contain this overrunning force that was breaking through. I want each of you, however, to make a single dodge roll.
Oh, you're not
I'm not here.
Forgot it. Oh, that's not grand.
What did you roll?
83,
83. And what is your dodge?
45.
It's 4 degrees of failure. And what did you get, DT?
Out of 56, out of 51.
Oh, so effectively you've created a wash. I'm going to give that to you as 1 degree of success.
Oh, shit.
How did you do?
Is it possible to roll a 0?
It's
Because I
not-
just rolled zeros on my percentage and a 0 on my... What the fuck, y'all?
Is that a 0 or a 100?
It is my duty to tell you that that is actually
That's 100?
100.
Okay, then that's super. Because I was like, all right, I just needed to get one number on this.
Yeah. So
Okay, so a zero, and a 0,
it's
0 is 100. So
like
yeah.
right off the bat. So
Okay.
you have really not done well here. Does anyone wish to mitigate this with competency before
I mean, I
we
wanted
resolve
to.
it? All right.
I mean, I have
We're
to.
going to start with Cami first. What would you like to do, Cami?
So if I understand it correctly, 3 degrees of a failure there. So I would have to spend 4 competency to make that a success. Am I correct?
Yes.
How many do we have in the pool still?
8.
Cool. I've got 2 of my own, so I'm going to spend that. And then I'm going to spend 2 from the community.
2 from the community. All right. So there are 6 competency remaining there, and you've pulled that into a success. You continue to fight, and nothing breaks through. Nothing immediately is able to get to you. Achira, you have 5 degrees of failure here.
Yeah, well, I was almost blowed up and, then had like that gut punch.
It's been a
that
really
heart
long
punch that
day.
happened with
Yeah.
Arya coming up and like this conversation. Achira's past murdered love. And yeah, so it's so funny that Cynthia did that, by the way. How many do we have left in the community pool?
You have 6 in the
6.
community pool currently.
Okay, so it looks like this is going to be a failure no matter what.
And I would remind you that we still have DT to take care of.
How many
which-
did you?
1 degree of success, which means it's
1
enough
degree
for
of
you
success,
to
okay.
dodge. You don't have to do anything else. But those around you may not be as safe.
Okay, so for my 5 degrees of failure, I will do 1 of my own, make it 4 degrees of failure. So we have 6 in the pool. I guess I could use half of them and just make it 1 degree of failure.
All right. So with 1 degree of failure, I'm going to say that you're pulling back as instructed. And there's a familiar face on the ground. You're not sure when or where they fell, but they were part of Sweetum's crew. They were named Tags. They were sort of quiet, an artist. They really liked to paint flowers. They did that a lot. All throughout this, there's graffiti all over Pine Haven, But some of it isn't just noise. Some of it is actually art that's been created by your community, and Tags did a lot of that. Tags is lying on the ground and isn't moving. There's a pool of blood all around them. And as you back up, you had stumbled over Tags. Didn't see them there as you were pushing back in the darkness, because again, there's no electrical lighting here. It's night. There are some fire pots, and those fire pots are really the only illumination that you have in this area. And so I think really what happens is you stumble, you don't fall, you catch yourself, and you see the body lying there. What do you do?
I feel like I need to check this body.
All right. They still have a backpack on them. They have their equipment. You see a baseball bat lying near their hand. They are not breathing.
They're dead.
You are not certain, but it doesn't look like they're breathing from here. Do you want to try and perform first aid?
I would check to see if they're alive, if the blood has to be coming out of somewhere. So if it looks like it's a fatal wound.
Make a first aid check for me.
Okay, so I rolled a 45, and my first aid is a 43.
I'll give that to you as a degree of success. You get closer and you feel the neck, and there's no pulse. And Tags grabs you.
I cut for the neck with my hand scythe.
Go ahead and roll to do so as Tags pushes themselves closer to you.
Poor Tags. Alright, that still leaves me with a 81, and my slash is a 50, so that's 3 degrees of failure.
Yes, it is.
At it. So
It's an important choice.
yeah. You had 1 degree of success on your dodge. You'll be okay. I'm gonna use the rest of the community points, which is 3.
There's only 2.
I only used 3, and there were 6.
I currently have 2 remaining in the pool. I don't know where the miscount happened, but I know that we have friends in the ether who are supporting us here.
Okay. Then that'd be 2 that I'll use. Okay. I'll use 2 to make it 1 degree of success to slash.
Okay. And you were slashing for the throat, correct?
Yeah, usually when Achira slashes, she goes for removing the head.
All right. Go ahead and roll your damage then, so that I know how effective you were. Actually, hold on. No. You know what? The head falls off the body as you press forward with your blade. You slash and you hear bones snapping as the head rolls. Still alive.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a dodge check for me?
Well, no, I wouldn't. That's 3 degrees of failure on the dodge. I have 1 competency point left, which I'm spending to make it 2 degrees of failure.
All right, we'll come back to you. DT, you have managed to evade the bottleneck attacks as the Romeros continue to press forward. You've killed many of them, and your sister, Sugar, has been pulling them forward at the forefront, doing 2 things at once, which is sort of blocking them from being able to move forward. They're ignoring her, and then she sort of topples them down. And there's an uneasiness around a lot of the living survivors around you, that this is not normal for a Romero. Is there anything else that you'd like to do?
I just want to nervously turn to everyone and just see she's sweet as sugar, in hopes that they're not going to attack her as she continues to attack them.
You keep fighting. Faith is shouting orders. Cami is firing. In the darkened corridor, you continue to pull back, Achira. Severed head rolled forward. You felt teeth. Teeth on flesh. Biting through. pull back. What do you do?
Well, it depends on where the bite was for my armor that I have on.
Yes.
I don't believe she has any exposed skin.
The armor protects almost everything except for your joints, correct?
I think that's reasonable.
I would say that in the situation, given the close combat that you were in the middle of, given the roll that I made, which was witnessed by Cynthia, unfortunately, two rolls, in fact, that were effectively duplications of 5 degrees of success.
Okay.
This is an extremely unlucky moment.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have been here today.
We're glad that you are, because this allows us this moment to tell the story. So I want you to narrate how the bite happens.
Okay, well, if it's joints, darkened hallway, more than likely Achira was just like slashing down with, so her right arm would be too busy, so it'd have to happen on the left.
Your left arm has taken a lot of abuse today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if that's what you choose, we'll follow it.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that, like, maybe around the wrist area.
Okay.
Because if the hand took that much damage before, then...
You had been doing first aid. It would make a lot of sense that it would
For
be
that to be exposed.
and that you had rolled it up, and that you hadn't expected to find a Romero in bad situation after bad situation built up to cause your hand to get better. And their head hits the ground with a wet, sickening thump as you realize what's happening. And you see Penny looking at you. And then down, and then back up at you. And you see her pull on Camilla's shoulder.
What?
Red shoe blue.
Oh, shit.
And we'll come back to all of you. Polly, you're inside of this freezing cold gas station. It's a rainbow cacophony of light and graffiti and color and filth and rot and decay and these twisted, tortured undead that are moving within these pits, the living severed heads that have been stored in barrels and containers behind you. There's 30 or 40 of them held here. The Jigsaw Man, Kusanagi, stands in front of you. Had a gun pointed to your head a moment ago. Wasn't making sense, but was also making a certain amount of sense. He seems to be much more lucid than he was a moment ago. Look. I know what I am. I know who I am. I know what dial-up was. I know what Declan was. I'm not going to sit around and wait for Faith to hand this place over to the Citadel. And I'm not going to wait for Achira to hand it over to the dead.
You don't sound like you can wait very long anyway.
I want to give this place a fighting chance. The farce is over, Polly. If they can't lead any longer, then these people, the people that are following them, they either need to fall in line or they need to leave right now.
What do you want to do with it?
I have people coming back in. We have a tower. We are calling everybody back. They're all coming back.
If you have such a great plan, why do you need me?
I don't want to kill Faith and Achira if I don't have to. I just want them to leave. You can make that happen, can't you?
Yeah, I can make that happen.
And if you don't, then I'm going to have to kill them anyway. I have people in your people. I have eyes everywhere. And I'll know if you betray me here today. But if you're able to see the truth, then you have a place with us here in the future.
Polly stares for a long moment, then kind of asks a bit of a non sequitur. How did they do that to you?
His lidless eye, you can see it moving, and like tears are just kind of constantly pouring down from this gash. He did it slowly, methodically, and he wouldn't let me pass out. I was awake for all of it. But he didn't break me. You all let him here. I didn't do it.
I don't. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Don't be sorry. Help me. Help me make this place what it's meant to be.
I'm going to help you. But I think you're full of shit.
How so?
There's no bunker, there's no secret stash. You're just. I am sorry that happened to you, but you're just trying to chase a dream of something that's not even there.
I told you I'd show you the truth.
All I see are sick bodies.
So do I. All of Pinehaven. They're dead. They just don't know it yet. Get them out. Drive them away however you can. There's a crackle of the radio. You hear it. Black Rook to C4. Kusanagi stops and looks down. son of a bitch. Declan isn't dead. I can't imagine he's in great shape. Arlo and the others, they're pulling back.
They're all a part of it.
And more.
I can't go back out there right now. If you want me to help, I can't go back out.
We can wait. I've been patient this long.
Did they know you were bringing me here?
I didn't know I was bringing you here. You just happened to show up when she did. Following the dog. And he looks down at Spike.
In that moment that he looks down, I take out my gun and I try to shoot him.
Make a pistol shot, please.
Fuck. Okay. Now I have a ×2 modifier on my pistol. What does that mean?
So you're going to be able to add a modifier to that roll that is going to increase your skill with it.
Okay.
So what did you roll first of all on your
I
first
rolled a 65 and I have a 44.
Okay, so even with the modifier, that's going to be a failure, but you do have
Right.
one competency point in the communal pool.
Okay.
And how many do you have?
I have 2. And how much does my multiplier add to that?
Well, if you spend 2 competency, you're going to get to a success, but
Right.
he's going to potentially get to dodge out of that. So
Right.
you want as many successes
Yeah.
as possible to make this effective.
Okay.
And I don't know how far you're going to be able to take it,
Yeah.
but there is one in the communal pool and your personal competency, so the choice is yours.
Right.
What number do you have in your pistol box?
2.
So you can take 4 away from the roll that you did.
Okay, so that's 61.
Still about
It's still-
at the
44, 54. It's 1 degree of failure then.
right.
Okay.
So if you want to pull that into a success,
I'd use my 2. Damn it. Yeah, I'm going to use that last communal one as well to get it to 2 successes.
all right. He has, I'm sorry to say, 4 degrees of success on the dodge, and he throws himself down into one of the pits,
Mm-hmm.
and you lose sight of him as he just kind of like just drops back, and like you don't know, maybe he expected it because he kind of just drops down.
Yeah.
He shields his face and takes like 1 step back and sort of nonchalantly drops,
Yeah.
and you lose sight of him.
Shit.
That was a mistake.
Fuck you. And shit. Can I? You said that there's a ton of like gunpowder here.
There's a lot of gunpowder on that workbench across the way.
Can I kick these heads into the hole and run towards the gunpowder?
Yes.
Okay.
You can try to do that.
Flying blind here, I don't have any competency left.
You don't have any competency left. That's correct. So what I'd like for you to do is to make a brawl check,
Okay.
and we'll allow that to represent both the kicking and the running.
Got it. It's 44, 28. That's 1 degree of failure.
There is a single competency point that's just been added to the pool.
I don't think that I can get it to a success.
I don't think you can.
No.
So do you want to just let that ride?
Yeah, I'll let it ride.
The head rolls awkwardly and doesn't fall down the pit.
Mm-hmm.
You turn and you start running. And you hear a noise. as the rusted out automobile above the pit slowly starts to lower down. All of them start moving, but this one starts to close off the pit that Kusanagi was inside of.
And so, from what I'm understanding, he's closing that to get into safety.
You don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what he's doing.
You can make any assumptions you like.
Right. How quickly is it going? How much time does it seem like I have?
Seconds.
And I've already started running towards the gunpowder.
Yeah,
correct?
you're scrambling towards it as Spike is charging after you.
Right. I don't think that I can do it. I am going to try to slide. Oh god, that's dangerous. No, I'm still gonna do it. I'm gonna try to get one of those barrels in and shoot at it as I kick it that way. If I can get it in, I'll shoot it as it falls in.
You're going to try to throw one of the barrels.
Before the automobile goes down on it.
I would like for you to make a throw check, please.
Yeah, sure. It's a 98.
That's almost as bad as you could possibly roll.
Yeah.
There are 2 competency points that have been put into the pool. But I don't think it's going to save you here. To make this a success, I think it's going to be a failure, but you're throwing gunpowder.
It's really dangerous. And 5 degrees is a catastrophic failure.
That's correct. And even if you remove those, I think you're still in that zone.
Still in trouble.
Do you want to narrate what you think happens, or would you like for me to do it?
I'm fine with narrating what happens. Volatile gunpowder, right?
Nothing that Dial-Up used was safe. It was all very crudely made. It was all very homemade, unstable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it would explode necessarily, but it would probably ignite, and I think that it's going to spread all over this garage.
Yeah, I think Polly goes to try to throw it, and she just still doesn't have full control. She is shaking, and as she goes to throw it, it just awkwardly slips out of her hands, and as it does, it gets a few feet, maybe 5, and manages to just hit the lid just right so that it spills out and sparks on the ground.
And I think there's a blast. I think there's fire everywhere. You're immediately thrown back.
Mm-hmm.
Your ears are ringing. I think your saving grace here was that it didn't happen right in front of you.
Yeah.
You threw it just far enough, but your plan has completely failed.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on the ground, and your head hurts.
Yeah.
And there's blood trickling down from your nose. And you've got little bits of shrapnel across one side of your face, and you feel it in your arm too, from the barrel when it just kind of like hit. And you feel something pulling at your shirt, because you don't have a jacket, right?
I don't have a jacket.
Pulling at your shirt, and it's Spike trying to pull you back.
Yeah.
As the dog tugs at you, your head's swimming, you fall in and out of consciousness, and you see a silhouette standing over you. And your head sort of lolls back, and you notice all the pretty Christmas lights all around you. And you see underneath the workbenches, there's very specific red blinking lights. They're not part of the Christmas decor. as the car comes to a stop, sealing the bay in completely. The figure is standing over you and looks down as you watch the silhouette of tentacles writhe out from the front of his chest as he reaches down and grabs you and pulls you out into the snow and the cold as you pass out. And the last thing that you see before your eyes drop is a fireball. That is where we're going to end our session tonight.